Hey everyone. Sorry, I look down and I see none other than Richard Holiday getting excited about volcanoes. They are very easy to get excited about. You should come to New Zealand. There's an entire city that's built on a volcanic field, so if one volcano erupts, then that city is absolutely screwed. But yes, welcome one, welcome all to a little celebration, which I guess we should get underway. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear ASTER'S Coda Exposure. Happy birthday to you. Yay. I hate singing the happy birthday song, so, or even just getting it sung to, so yeah, I do not know why I did that, but yes, there's my mouse. Everything's getting a little bit chaotic here as normal. You probably saw that. The chaotic mind of Rami Rosenfeld. Hello, that is me. Richard is asking me who Aster is. Aster is one half of disaster. That's literally how I came up with the name. And then after I realized that Aster was a flower. And then, yeah, so that's my creative process, I guess. And then thank you, Jennifer, for the birthday wishes to my book baby. I still cannot believe it has been 2 years. It's both feels both like really, really quick and really, really not quick for it to happen. My hair is a mess because I decided to wear both a headband and headphones. Yeah, how'd I make that decision? And yes, indeed, Richard, gloss is boss, especially when the cover is black. But yes, it's a very exciting day. And I should also apologize for this being on a Friday/Saturday instead of a Saturday/Sunday like I normally do. I double booked myself, and it was a lot easier to move this around than it was to move my other commitment, which serves quite well because the 22nd, if I'm remembering correctly, was the actual day back in 2021 that my book released. So it all works out the way that it is supposed to. Wait, exit released on Thursday. Yeah, it was the 22nd. Yeah, gosh, I need to know my book better. Yeah, So, also hello to those in the chat, and hello to those coming out. Not coming out. I mean, I guess hello if you're coming out, and congratulations, and I'm here to support you if you have come out, either book-wise or LGBTQ-wise. My train of thought is going into some very weird places today. Excuse me. So, yeah. I forgot my train of thought because I found my slip up so funny. So we're just gonna bring up the slideshow, and I need to decide how big I want to be. That's a decent size. Hello, hello! This is Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in this live stream. Yeah, everyone is excited that Ben has arrived, and I am as well. He's been someone who has been such a big cheerleader for this book. And yeah, I mean, I've had a bunch of big cheerleaders, really, but he is one of them. And I appreciate everyone who has joined and helped me out in this journey, whether it's been buying this book, which if you haven't already, $1 in the right platforms, you just scroll by on the ticker. And I need to remember that this is mirrored, because I need to live stream more often, which is in the plans, which I might be discussing at the end of this. We'll see how time goes. But yeah, most places you can get the ebook for ASTER'S Coda Exposure for $1, and that's in literally any currency. It's not just $1 US, it's $1 New Zealand dollar, it's $1 Canadian dollar, it's £1 British pound, it's €1. I hope I got that all correct, because if I didn't, Draft 2 Digital or someone better not come after me. Alrighty, so we're gonna kick things off with this little celebration. It's gonna be a little bit more chill, because, you know, people go all out for their baby's first birthday and then second birthday. It's still pretty cool, but then, you know, the older they get, the weirder it gets. But this book is gonna have a bangin' 21st birthday, if this all still exists in 21 years. But let's talk about the devil being in the details. A little bit of a game, actually. I'm sorry, I'm clearing my throat a lot. Don't ruin it by bringing in children. Yeah. And yes, there's slides. Every live stream party is incomplete without slides, personally. Except the AuthorTube writing conference after party that I hosted. I don't think there was a single slide in that one. I mean, there was some dance moves, but I don't remember if any of us slid. Tangent. Devil's in the details. This is a game inspired by the Dropout game show called Actually. Yes, it's called Actually. I didn't just forget things. The way that this little game works is that I'm going to share with you a phrase, a little sentence that comes from the book, or no, it doesn't come from the book. It's got facts about the book, but something's wrong with the phrase, and you guys have to try and work out what it is. Ooh, so if you haven't read it, you're probably gonna be stabbing in I had a metaphor and I lost it. Finding a needle in a haystack, but it's still going to be fun for you to find needles in haystacks, and I'm going to be sharing some fun facts without spoilers about exposure. I thought I'd decide to do this instead of a quiz because, you know, we'd like to switch up formats in this house. Stabbing in the dark. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Someone understands my chaos. So I hope the text is big enough. I think it is, yes. So the first thing you have to correct, you nerds, is Abby and Rocco Tacker are human siblings with otherworldly blood in their veins, also called a science. While Rocco is the eldest of the pair and was exposed first, Abby had the mantle of ASTER'S Coda forced upon her during events when she was abducted and unconscious. Rocco never went through such events. Now, I will say, some of these are going to get real tricky, and you're either going to hate me or hate yourselves for getting them wrong. So, let's see if anybody can find out what is wrong. This could be difficult. I may have to make things easier. I may have to drop hints, or I may just have to change to the next slide when I get bored. If you haven't read the book, you can still guess, Richard. You can find out what is, because it could be something really bizarre. I could be saying that Abby and Rocco, they're not actually siblings. Oh god, I was about to pull a Cassandra Clare and say that they were love interests. But is it not actually the case? Insert zoom on my bizarre face. Pardon me. Take a shot every time I clear my throat and see how drunk you guys can get. Oh boy. First off, no. Second of off, do not test Cassandra Clare once more. And hello, we've also got author Anne Sophie in the chat. Hello. Oh yeah, I forgot. George R.R. Martin did have the siblings thing, but that is not what we are concerned about today with this little fact, because actually, God, I chose a terrible font. Let's make that bigger. Rocco and Abby are only half related, and Rocco doesn't have the otherworldly blood from Abby's mother, Jamie. This didn't stop him from getting exposed and gaining his powers, but his heritage doesn't give him any of his powers. It was all caused by accident in which he tried to save his sister from an otherworldly serpent with vampiric abilities. Was that too tough? Maybe it was, but I like to share facts and be pedantic sometimes. Yeah, because I think, where is it? We all know an actually person. There are some things that can get me like that, Richard, and you do not want to test me. And sometimes my book is one of those things. I think I get a partial credit. What do you think, guys? Should Richard get partial credit? Because I don't know if I have the morality to give it to Richard. Oh well. So, maybe this next fact will be easier for people to spot the error in. Or at least it'll be easier for you to stab in the dark and work out which is which, because you can guess multiple times, you know. A majority of ASTER'S Coda exposure is set in the New Zealand city of Rotorua. This city is known for geothermal activity, including a series of mud pools that give the area an iconic yet pungent stench. Some real-life places are mentioned in this first book, including the Skyline Gondolas, Redwood Forests, and the Rungamaree Cemetery. But locations were also created by myself, like Beauclerk High School. So as you can probably guess, one of these locations does actually exist or doesn't exist, and I have mixed them up. Rotorua doesn't actually smell. I mean, maybe to the people living there it doesn't smell, but the comparison that a lot of people make to Rotorua is that it smells like rotten eggs. New Zealand doesn't actually exist. Yep, you caught me, guys. You caught me. I've been living in a fake country this whole time. New Zealand is actually a state of Australia. Half of the US who doesn't know their geography actually does know their geography. Ben thinks Bo Clark High School's real. Jennifer thinks Rotorua doesn't actually exist. There's some interesting guesses around here. Haven't seen any correct ones yet, aside from this. Sarcasm. Got to love it. I just realized I have a water bottle here, and it's not full. There's like a little sliver in the bottom that the straw part of it can't actually get. But I guess I shall now inform you that big and switch. Rungamaree Cemetery is not real. Rungamaree, I'm totally butchering the pronunciation of it. I think it's Rangimari, is a word in Te Reo Māori, the native language of New Zealand, that means peace or harmony. I love the indigenous culture of New Zealand, Māori culture, and of course, had to include it in Rotorua, the city that actually does exist. It's just not one of the big ones. It's touristy, I'd say. Like the main tourist cities, at least for people living in New Zealand, I have no idea what it's like internationally. You got Queenstown and then Rotorua. Those are like the two big touristy places. And I love visiting Rotorua. I've went there 3 times in my life, and that third time back in 2018, 19, 18 will certainly not be the last. And I highly encourage you that if you are going to visit New Zealand, first off, come visit me. Second off, go to Rotorua. It is incredible, and you can spot some of the locations from my book in there that actually exist, such as the redwoods, the mud pools, and the gondolas with the luge. The luge is so fun. I love going on a luge trip. Now we move on to the next thing. Take a shot. I just cleared my throat again. The name of the novel Exposure comes from the term used to describe someone experiencing a powerful phenomenon from the 3 worlds-based magic that is not from their world for the first time. I should have proofread this. Abby's exposure happens during her abduction, where she sees purple smoke and beings made of mist of different colors called telekinetics. So something isn't right here, and it's probably you're probably gonna hate me for what's not right in here. Is that your actually? Commas don't exist. Oh boy, that will change the meaning of a lot of sentences in the future. Like, I killed my brother, comma, James. Now you just say, I killed my brother, James. James is your brother. I apologize for tapping so furiously. I don't have my mouse. I couldn't find it in time for this live stream. All right, this one might be a toughie. I think I got some really tough ones because I want to try and point out stuff that wasn't in the previous live stream. Exposure typically happens to people of Earth because magics are uncommon in this world. So an exposure wouldn't normally happen to someone from the other worlds of Fate or Sokaran. That one, go ahead, take your knife and choose where to stab me for that one. That one was a bit pedantic, I realized in retrospect. I made this late at night, probably last weekend or something. And yeah, I really should have proofread this, but life has just been real chaotic. So yeah, I mean, what is a book birthday release or book celebration without something going wrong? For those of you who didn't tune in to my first ever live stream, which was my release day live stream, I accidentally ended it early because I wasn't using StreamYard. I didn't know StreamYard existed back then. And that was probably the brunt of it. This stream is powered by StreamYard, but it's not sponsored by StreamYard. And for StreamYard is fantastic. Let's move on. While writing exposure, many things changed. While writing exposure, many things changed about Abby in particular. This included her birthplace, which was originally Auckland, her eye color, which was green, her age at the start of book 1, which was 14, and then the plethora of last names I couldn't decide on. Tonks, Hammond, Saunders, and many others were an option for her last name at some point. So, as you can probably tell, something about Abby didn't change. Something about Abby in this here sentence or couple of sentences stayed the same. So what stayed the same? Plethora? That's a fantastic word. Next time, maybe have a co-host so you can make fun of them. that would be cool. Yes, I totally should do that for the 3rd birthday, or even when I release book 2, which we will talk about later down the line. Ben thinks Abby's eyes are still green. Jennifer thinks her last name currently is Saunders. Do we have any other guesses before I reveal? And now I have to wait for the stream lag because stream lag takes forever. I checked when I started and I think the stream lag may have been particularly long today. It was like over 10 seconds, which is like, dude, my Wi-Fi is not that bad. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi that does the issue. Is it obvious that I didn't study anything technology related in that sense? I study stuff that's digital, not technological. That's what I kind of did. Okay. Well, it wasn't her eyes and it wasn't her last name. It was her birthplace. Her birthplace never changed. Just another show of me being a fan of Rotorua. The Rotorua Council should sponsor me or make me do some kind of tourist ad because I'm going to show everything that's amazing about that place. But yes, even Abby's personality changed drastically. For those of you who saw my video last week, you would probably have heard of how much changed, how she was a basically manic pixie dream girl. Which, like, I don't even know why I decided to do that. And I don't know what in my head decided to make me change so much about her. But I'm honestly glad I did. And I can't see her changing beyond what actually happens in the book. Because, fun fact, at the start of the book, she doesn't have any powers. But at the end of the book, she does. Oh! That's not a spoiler, in case you were wondering. The book literally has lightning on it. How is that not obvious that lightning's going to be involved? It's not a spoiler, it's a teaser. I don't remember if there was any more. There's one more. Hey. A majority of the characters in the version of Exposure that got published today were never in early editions of the novel. A majority of these people were Sub Rosa members: Vaughn, Kyrie, Jada, Scabbard, and Red. Fauna was initially going to be a member of the Sub Rosa too, who wound up double-crossing Abby, but in the version we know, she's her completely human support machine. What is wrong with this statement? Do we have any guesses? Guessers? Could it be that Red was initially in book 1? Could it be that Fauna was never going to be part of the Sub Rosa? Was Kyrie originally in the book? Was Jada, Scabbard, Vaughn? Who was it? Or maybe I'm missing out somebody, but that would just be rude, wouldn't it? But this game is notorious for being rude if you see the actual version of it that was originally published. Pardon. I can reveal the answer is... I have no idea if you heard that, but I did a drum roll. Fauna in early drafts was originally going to get recruited into the Sub Rosa at the same time as Abby and work as a reporter of otherworldly activity who was strictly told not to intervene. So, what does this mean for book 2 and the future of the character of Fauna? Does she actually ever join the Sub Rosa? Does she remain human? Does she die? Maybe you can ask that when we get to the Q&A session, which I don't think is next. What's this? An ad? Oh! Get Exposure for $1 as an ebook on most online retailers until the end of July. This is for future reference. A ongoing sale that will be happening. Every July, Exposure is going to be $1 for the entirety of the July. And yeah, not much to say about that. So even if you happen to be watching this in the future and you missed out the sale, there's guaranteed to be one in July. And there will be other sales besides the July one, obviously. Hello, Shannon, and thank you for the birthday wishes for my baby. Get yourself a book, baby. It doesn't cry, it doesn't poop, and you don't need to feed it. And you don't actually need to get pregnant or impregnate somebody. Weirdest train of thought ever. This feels like a double entendre. I don't know if I regret showing that or making that realization, or I don't know if I even made that. Thank you for the sales pitch things. Thank you for the compliments on my sales pitch. It proves that I am good enough for my day job in marketing. Oh boy, I have to go big again. I really should have checked through this slideshow before going live. I'm tiny! Wait, do I want to go like this instead? That's intriguing. We don't get some of that black space? Sure, let's go like this. So, with the sort of development of everything going on ASTER'S Coda wise, and how I literally cannot stop thinking about ASTER'S Coda, I wanted to share with you guys some spin-off ideas that I had. And maybe, depending on what you guys think, you can tell me which one you want to read first, and maybe I want to get through it first. What's going on? I don't know how we got to the topic of impregnation. Geoff. I pronounce it as Jeff. Yeah, it's Jeff in this version. I know there's like various versions. When I was young, I thought it was Geoff, but it's Jeff. Yes. I do intend to make them as reader magnets. Yes, that's exactly one of the things I plan to do, Richard. But we're going to go through some of them now. Between chapters 4 and 6 of Exposure, because Abby in that period is unconscious, I thought it would be cool to share what happens when she gets rescued. It's a very ideal reader magnet for book 1. What's this? Martin has a Jeff cat in his book, but I thought it was pronounced Geoff, and it's hard to change from that thinking. Oh, absolutely. Like, to this day, I cannot pronounce I can't pronounce I pronounce it mischievous, and I know that's wrong. It's like I have to literally think about it. It's mischievous, but I still think it's mischievous. Yeah. I think it varies. Honestly, English is so messed up that it could be either. But other stories that we have. Kyrie and Jada's story of how they came to Phaetos, to Corin, and then later, the sub Rosa. Kyrie and Jada, the sister superstars from a world very far away. They're very underrated characters, in my opinion. I think I had a couple of beta readers who found Jada to be their favorite. And I think I love Kyrie as well. Kyrie's just badass, and she's and I love her even more because she's asexual, and I love my asexual homies. Yeah. What else have we got here? Rocco learning about the sub Rosa and his stepmother's family is history after an incident in which he saves his sister Abby. I'm cutting off the bottom. Everyone's going into a pronunciation war. Great. And then there was Jeff discovering his Emerald abilities and the consequences of him losing control. A story from Abby's mother, Jamie, on her time in the sub Rosa in the late 80s. Obviously before she dies. And then diving into the history of the Aster delegation. Who else was cursed in Abby's lineage? Don't apologize for chaos. I'm always endorsing chaos at any possible point. Yeah, and it's chaos that kicks up my algorithm potential. We love that. The algorithm has hated me enough as it is. We gotta get it to love me. So, I mean, aside from the name of Geoff or Jeff or what have you, just from its name alone, what intrigues people most? I'm curious to hear. Which of these would you be most intrigued to learn about? Whether you know about stuff within the book or you don't. Do you want to have a rescue mission? Do you want to have a journey of two sisters? Do you want to have Rocco's story? where he learns about the Sub Rosa and he doesn't know a thing about it? What about Jeff discovering the beast inside of him? A story that takes place in the 80s? Or diving into history of the ASTER'S, the second 2/3 of disaster? Or do you just like them all? Would it be easier to say the ones that you don't like? I can take criticism. Shannon's liking Kyrie and Jada's story. The beast inside of Jeff San Martin's cat Geoff. From Geoff alone, and how much you guys love Geoff, I need to pick up Martin's book sooner. Yeah. Ooh, Kyrie and Jada's got another favorite. Jennifer's an older sister, so she thinks that would be really cool. Yeah, I'm wondering what perspective this would be from. Kyrie's the older sister, for those who are unaware. So I think that it might be from her perspective, because she would be the one taking on the most responsibility. And yeah. The cat got them out of a sticky situation. Yes. That's cool. It's like, what's that cat getting out of a sticky situation? It's like that game, video game, where you play as a cat in a dystopian world. I am so mad at myself that I don't remember the name of that. He masquerades as human sometimes. Yeah. Geoff masquerades as the human. Jeff. While we're hawking people's books, I need to read Price War by Richard. I do need to read Price War by Richard. I fully intend, because I have recently moved in the past month, 2 months, thus the new background here. I'm waiting to eventually, me and my flatmates actually are waiting to get our bond back, and their books is probably what I'm going to be spending my bond on. Let's be real. Almost your favorite cat Martin's ever written? What do you mean by almost? Has he written a second one? Who's the second cat? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. I love cats. You don't need to read Price War by Richard. She needs to read it by me. Yes, my favorite author. Me, because it's comma, E. Chaos reigns. I realize this whole time I haven't put music on, but that's okay. This stream is too chaotic for me to want to include music. But thank you guys for talking about the spin-offs you might be interested in, and Geoff the cat, who may or may not be inside of my character, Jeff. This makes me, just as an aside, this genuinely makes me curious, across AuthorTube and the books that we have written as AuthorTubers, who has written characters with the same, if not similar, names, and whether or not people get confused by such things. Tell me in the comments now, actually, either if you're watching live or the playback, which AuthorTube books have got characters with the same names, at least first names, and you get them confused. I'd be curious to know, just because, AuthorTube grows bigger each time. Because as far as I know, I don't know another Abby. I've recently learned of another Geoff. I don't know any Roccos, Jadas, stuff like that. At least for the more common names, because I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but there's bound to be some overlaps. Both Becca and Anne have an MC called Mara. Nice. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if someone has a character named Lily or Rose. I was going to include in the sequel to ASTER'S Coda a character named Lily, but while editing, I'm realizing that Lily is largely useless, so we have avoided that, Shannon. I doubt anyone has an Aryan or a Calden. Yeah, I didn't mention my fantasy-based or my more fantasy-based names from my book. Both this one and future ones I've got planned. Although the future book series has got a very specific naming convention, so there would be overlaps. For instance, in a future book series, a high fantasy one, I have a character whose dead name is Morrigan, but because they ended up being non-binary before the book starts, they go by Mari instead of Morrigan. I'm writing a story with an Addie. That's close. Yeah, I realize that there's like the common names. There's like so many things where like overlaps could happen. Like with my name being Amy and my character's name being Abby, I know a couple of people have like mixed that stuff up a bit, and I purely didn't intend for that to happen. Abby is in no way a self-insert. So yeah. And yeah, Addie being pretty close. And then I realized with a Dungeons and Dragons game that I'm starting soon, I have a character whose name is very close to Jada, the character in my book. So Jada is from my book, and then Veda is my next D&D character. So naming's weird. Names are weird. We all mistook Derek for Ben while falling through. That's a bit far-fetched, but sure. There's actually a naming convention that all water and moon magical people have A names in the new world that Shan's creating, but I don't tell anyone that. But you told us! Shannon, how could you put us with such information? We're going to spoil the entire contents of A Curse in Scales and Feathers now. Or is it from? Oh, it comes up in a previous series you haven't written on paper yet. Okay. What about people naming characters after author-tubers? Gosh, could you imagine that? Maybe I should do that for like, or just write a book where I just take all of your likeness and then like do some kind of battle royale where author-tubers have to battle against the characters that they've made who have a vendetta against the authors for writing their lives to be so terrible. Richard named a character after author Anne Sophie in Price War II. Your treatment of me determines her fate, so be nice to me. Someone I believe told me they used Richard for our Richard here. At least that's what I think. Thank you guys for making me laugh this morning. Oh my gosh, this is chaos and I love it. Well, I guess while we're here, we could go back to these slides and start, I don't know, doing some Q&A stuff. If you guys do have any questions about the book, I mean, I spill almost all of its secrets consistently. But, you know, there's some new people around here. There's also, that's not what I meant to put. Oh, well. Yeah, I apologize. I changed the slideshow, but I don't think it imported or converted correctly. So there was going to be a giveaway, but the shipment for me to show off the giveaway stuff hasn't come yet. So we're probably just going to do like a random spontaneous giveaway in the future when I decide when that is. So I apologize. Or should I apologize? Or should the shipping companies apologize? Who knows? Oh, back on the naming stuff. I named a character in my book after my dog. Nice. Oh, we're talking about Richard getting around. He'll belong to a guy constantly annoyed by the cat that won't leave him alone, so he loves it. Was this the Richard the cat comment from earlier? Oh my gosh. Blame capitalism, everyone else does. Yes. Isn't that like the villain of your book, Richard? Oh, you love capitalism. Capitalism's weird. Yeah, I know Price Roar deals with capitalism, so I need to know more about it. I need to read it. I will get around to your books. I named a few characters after author-tubers. I see. Interesting. Would it be like more the popular ones or like just ones that you're friends with? Like, I genuinely wouldn't know how to feel if someone said, "You inspired me so much, I named a character after you." And then their portrayal is like something. Like, would you guys be honored or revolted if someone said, "I named a character after you," and then you find out it's the villain? How would that make you guys feel? Yes. Shannon also wants to be a villain. Yes. Villains are fun. Yes, they are. Villain squad, perhaps. Cool toys or powers? Abso-friggin-lutely. Who wouldn't want that? Over the top pantomime villains? I want to see a pantomime so badly. I desperately want to. Mustache twirlers? I personally like the Dr. Evil, you know. $1 million. I named a character after my author bestie, but she's not really on YouTube, more on Instagram. She felt honored in a way, but he was a love interest, and I used her last name as his first name. That's an interesting workaround, especially if it's like a last name that's workable. Like my one won't work. Like, could you imagine someone with the first name Rosenfeld? It sounds very militant. And I name characters after my friends that ask me to name characters after them. That is so sweet of you. They're past lovers, now best friends. Gregory, yes, that is a very workable one, for sure. Yeah, I haven't named characters after anybody. So just because like I feel like awkward about, you know, personality and how they would feel if that happened. I remember someone asked me once, "Can I be in your book?" And then I said, like, "I think I already have a character with your name." And he's a villain, and he was just like, "Oh my gosh, that is so weird." Especially because I started writing it before I knew this person. And this was even before it was published. And it wasn't the same name, but it was like a shortened version of it. That character being Nate. Nate, the Chaos Prince. That's not his actual title, but that's what I like to call him because he loved to watch the world burn. Once that you're friends with, you do the names, and you don't portray anything that may get me blacklisted from AuthorTube. That's true. Shannon says, I haven't named characters after everyone either, but all my names are chosen with care and with specific meanings. I really admire people who do that because I just go with like what I just do vibes. I don't like look into the meanings of names or anything. I should actually, what does Abby mean? Does it actually suit my character? In American baby names, the meaning of Abby is father's rejoiced or father's joy, gives joy. Okay, that's kind of awkward considering what happens to Abby and her dad throughout the course of ASTER'S Coda exposure. Yeah. But yeah, we shall see how that goes. I should do that with like all my characters actually. Let's work out what Jeff means. Jeff means God peace, a primary male name of English origin that means God peace. Okay. That has some connection because there's a scene in which Jeff meets Abby after he goes to church. That's fun. What about Rocco? I swear, if Rocco doesn't mean like rock in some form, oh, it means rest or repose. To rest or repose. I'm surprised that Rocco doesn't have anything to do with rocks. I'm sorry. I'm just eyeing out this one comment that Richard mentioned, which I'm not going to show on the screen. Because how dare he? Why? Wait, I'm confused. I am so confused. You made it weird. You're the one who made it weird. What's this button? If I right click, 3 dots, put user in timeout, ban user, and delete their comments. Should I? You weren't fully listening, so you were miss. I hope you did. I severely hope you did, Richard. He is always the one to make it weird. Please put him in timeout. Well, I'm gonna probably end this stream soon anyway, so why put him in timeout for 3 minutes? Okay, what other characters can I check out the name meanings of? Jada. It means wise. I like that for her. I like that. I can boot him if you give me a wrench. Never too close for a timeout. Everyone's wanting to fight Richard right now and start this whole war. And it's going to have a price. It's a price war. But that sounds like a good way to end the stream. With a bad pun. There is no better way to end the stream than with a bad pun. Who am I if I don't share a bad pun? Which I can't take credit for this bad pun actually, but there was one that I really liked that I want to share quickly before we end, and it was a chant. Never apologize for chaos. If I make merch, that's going to be on a shirt. Never apologize for chaos. Anyway, the bad pun. It's a chant. What do we want? More race cars. When do we want them? Now. Now let's wait to see the reactions pop up in chat. But ching. Yes, I'm making people laugh. I can't take credit for it. I saw it on Instagram. We're having a wonderful time. Maybe when I start doing live streams more frequently, which if you help me hit that 200 subscriber milestone, that's when it's officially going to be happening. One live stream minimum per month, along with my weekly weekend content. Then maybe I can invite people on here to have a pun off, a competition involving humor, and you guys in the chat can vote to see who wins. That sounds like perfect chaos. And if you want to read about perfect chaos, grab ASTER'S Coda Exposure for $1 in most ebook forms. Paperbook, it's not discounted. Paperback, I should say. Oh boy, here we go. Why don't escaped convicts make good writers? Because they never finish their sentences. Hey! Yes! Shannon, I'm inviting you onto the pun stream as well. I need to make this. I need to make like forms for like all of my live stream plans that I have. To do this. Maybe I shouldn't compete. I should just be the facilitator. I have no idea. But we need to organize an AuthorTube competition. Tournaments. Okay, we're ending the stream. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you get your copy of Exposure. Next week's video, I'm going to tease here, will be all about sequels and the struggles of writing them as I go through the editing and the drafting and the critiquing process for sequels. Oh, you just missed out. You're only catching like 5 minutes, Alicia, but thank you for coming in to still say hello. The pun sounds like the new rap battles. Yes. Punning to write. Okay, just for that alone, Ben, you need to host that. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for any kind of contribution you have made to my journey as an author. Thank you so much for everything that you have done. There's exciting stuff happening in the future, and I can't wait for you guys to stick around to see what happens after Abby gets exposed. Which actually, I don't know if I've made like a proper reveal for this. I'm going to create a banner now, but book 2 has a title, and I don't remember if I've shared it, but I will now in big font, and I will capitalize the name, the particular name of book 2, add banner, show banner, Semblance. Book 2 is ASTER'S Coda Semblance, and I feel like I have, yes, mentioned it before. But next week we're going to be talking a bit more about Semblance and writing sequels for it. And this is a little fun tidbit, but I am dressing up in a color that is significant to book 2. Blue is the significance of, the book 1, but there's another color that gets significant. We don't have a semblance of what's in store. This is why you should run the Punning to Write stream. Okay. Thank you guys. I have things to do. Avengers Assemblance. Richard, the story actually came about. The root of this story is Iron Man. So that has more meaning than you realize. Abby came to life because I was watching Iron Man. All right. Oh, Richard's guessing colors. Green, purple, red. I'm not saying a thing. You're just going to have to wait until next week. Which is the 30th / 29th. I hate time zones. But I wish you guys a good time zone. Thank you for tuning in. I have prolonged this for too long. Farewell. And keep an eye out for when I'm able to do a giveaway in the future. I will make sure there is another one. Farewell. Also, I realized that the date is wrong on this. Oops. What's a live stream without a little bit of chaos? Okay, bye.